So you guys, welcome to the latest episode of Grappling Monthly. I am very excited, very happy and humbled to be actually in your home. And I'm joined by Keith Krikorian.
Sir, thank you for coming.
Yeah, no, thank you. Made the drive over. Everything was nice, lovely.
Good.
We got some rain outside, so we're nice and cozy in here, which is wonderful. I'm super excited to get into it, get to know you a little bit, talk about, everything, all things Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
Because we know we have at least that in common for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And you guys, as always, if you like the content we're putting out, or if you don't, leave a comment, like, subscribe on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It all helps. Put out more content and tell jiu-jitsu stories, right? Which is really at the end of the day what the mission is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Totally.
Without any further ado, let's get started.
Yep. Sweet.
So Keith, I gotta ask, how did you get involved in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I mean, so I started martial arts before I started jiu-jitsu specifically when I was about, I want to say I was between like 8 and 10. I don't really remember when. I started probably 9-ish, I guess. I started boxing, and I was really passionate about that. I did that for, kind of a few years at like an amateur level, which was cool. I did that until I was about I did it, I guess, a little past when I started jiu-jitsu, but I didn't really pick up jiu-jitsu until about 14. I saw it at the gym because it was a boxing gym, but it did have mats and it had a jiu-jitsu program, but it was only gi. And I saw, I just remember seeing a lot of people doing somersaults and cartwheels and stuff. And it looked a little weird to me that adults, were doing gymnastics in pajamas.
Yeah.
It was very weird. Yeah. So it took me a while to kind of start to do it. Then there was an instructor there who said, well, you don't have to wear those. I can give you, and there's another really talented boxer at the gym who was my main training partner. And he was like, I'll give you guys just a lesson, a free lesson, and, you don't have to put the gi on. So we just had our shirts and stuff. What we wore to boxing, which was the basketball shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I think the first sub he showed me was probably guillotine or something.
Okay. And
it was just really cool because boxing is super awesome and it was definitely my first passion. But you have to repeatedly hit someone in order to win the fight, which is a kind of a scary concept and also just a little more destructive than I am naturally, I think,
Fair enough.
I'm not super violent or I said, just destructive in that way. So jiu-jitsu felt a little more constructive and just more of a task that just could be accomplished through a series of steps,
Yeah.
And so, that was really cool to me. And then it was kind of a painless end to things,
Right.
Whether it was an armbar or a guillotine, it hurt for a second. But it didn't not like I was repeatedly punching someone, which felt mean.
100%.
It felt mean and it felt kind of wrong, and jiu-jitsu was much I don't want to call it gentle, but it was just a little more thoughtful and, just as even more final than boxing. Cause it's how many times are you knocking someone out?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot. And that's not a really great feeling,
Yeah.
on either end.
Yeah. 100%.
So I never really liked that too much, but I loved boxing. I also loved the problem solving aspect, the skill building aspect, all the things that I do love about jiu-jitsu. I also loved about boxing. So, so once I kind of discovered that, it took me a little bit to fully, take that leap, I'd say. But once I did, I was really, really, just not obsessed, but I was really driven to get better. And, I never really looked back. I guess there were periods where I trained more consistently than other times in my, teens. But for the most part, I just went all in. I did wrestling in high school as well to kind of complement my jiu-jitsu. And I think I was still thinking MMA at the time because it blended all the things that I loved about boxing and jiu-jitsu, which was cool.
Yeah.
So that was, I'm pretty sure that was my main goal for actually wrestling in high school. But also to complement the jiu-jitsu. And yeah, I mean, I had good times in both. I wasn't like a standout or anything. My senior year, I was really successful in wrestling. I don't know, like, I know you're from Canada, but I like had a really good, I had like an okay start to the season or whatever. But then at the end of the season, I had like a, I think it was like a 16 or like maybe like 19 match like win streak, which was like kind of, it's really hard to do, you know, like in California especially, but it was like, I won like it was like a tournament with a team called Poway. Okay. It's like the number one team in the state, and like definitely a top team in the country. And I beat their kid in the finals, and that was like a pretty big win for me. It was just a confidence boost. Yeah. And then I won this like what's called like a league tournament, and then city tournament, and then CIF. And I might be forgetting one in there, I forget, but it's been a while. But then I did pretty well at Masters. I think I had a very disappointing into like the Masters tournament, which is the tournament before state. Okay. So I just had like that really long winning streak, a lot of confidence built through that. And then kind of a disappointing end to the season, which I think was like good. Like both of those things were really good for my, for me to segue into jiu-jitsu, into competitive jiu-jitsu, especially because I had the confidence that like, okay, I can actually do really well. I can string together wins. I can learn how to like, you know, rebound from like, I had a bad start to the season, you know, and I can learn how to rebound from that. And then also, you know, the loss at or I had a couple losses because it's double elimination, but I had the loss before the qualifying match to state. That was pretty devastating, but it was enough to like motivate me to want to keep going. And like, you know, wrestling in college didn't really, I don't know, it didn't really speak to me. The college that I chose to go to, Cal State Fullerton, previously had a D1 program, but they had cut it a couple of years like before I got there. And so that was a little bit disappointing, but it's probably for the best because Fullerton is a city that's surrounded by like 4 different 10 Planet gyms. Right. So I was really lucky. And that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because like not only were they all like interconnected 10 Planet, they had similar owners and the coaching staff kind of rotated, rotated, but it was like very consistent. You know, they would teach at each other's schools. I was a bike ride distance, which is like 10 miles, but like I was a bike ride distance away from one of the gyms. Nice. It was a very small, it was like as big as my apartment, you know, smaller probably actually. And that was the gym that I would ride my bike to pretty much every day. And then, that was just kept me, you know, like training, which was cool. Yeah. And I don't know if wrestling would have done that. Probably would have just burned me out and not led to too much else. Cause beyond, you know, Olympics or world, like qualifying for world teams in wrestling, there's not a whole, and coaching, I guess, long term, but there's not a whole lot you can do. Yeah. And so I think that would have been more of a dead end for me. Like professional amateur wrestling or like professional, like freestyle wrestling, or, folk style is like starting to become a thing, but it really, it wasn't. And it, you know, definitely wouldn't have been a path for me. So I'm happy that I got to kind of, that segued into like the pro jiu-jitsu scene. And I think by the time I was still in college when I qualified for the first ADCC. Nice. Or I was invited, I guess. I like didn't win the trials, but I silver medaled twice. Yeah. And then they invited me, and I was just junior in college. And then after that, I'd say is when I started kind of a professional, like, you know, it's such a broad term, but yeah. So that's kind of the progression. I took you from, I guess, when I started martial arts to then that's awesome. College. So yeah, sorry to take you down a rabbit hole. No, it makes sense. I mean, like, you know, so much of it is interconnected, right? Like martial arts, I think, have a lot of things in common. But then the striking arts, I found it really interesting what you said, because I never considered it like the destructive versus constructive, and you're absolutely right. Like, you know, you can go hard in jiu-jitsu and then go to work the next day or do whatever it is you need to do even later that day. Like, yeah, you might be a little wrecked or you might be tired, but you're not, you know, concussed. Yeah. Unless something went wrong. Beat up, you know? Right, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there are some crazy people out there, but for the most part, right? Like, training is constructive. I really like that. And then I was curious about wrestling because it's such a big part of
no-gi grappling, right? Like, and that's actually like, it's part of the reason that Grappling Monthly was the name that I chose. I didn't want for it to be like Jiu Jitsu Monthly, because I'm interested, like coming from, as you said, coming from Canada, like our wrestling scene is like borderline non-existent.
You guys,
right?
no, you guys have good wrestling.
There's wrestling. So I'm gonna get like in trouble for what I just said. But it's definitely not like, you know, like D1 US level, right? That's global. I think leader.
I don't think you guys have college wrestling. I don't even know if you guys call it college.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the colleges and universities. Similar. But
yeah, you guys have a pretty decent like world team or a national team, I should say, that competes at a world level.
Yeah. Well, I know that coming here, I was like interested to find out about like what it's all about, because the way that like what it's all about here. I mean, because the way that I think high school sports in the U.S. are like just a part of the fabric of that whole experience, and like people get behind their teams and like support their teams, right? Sometimes I bike to Legacy where I train, right? And I pass by a high school, and if there's any kind of game, like it could be baseball, football. Anything that's on the outside, like the stands are just rammed. Like, full, not a free seat, right? And that is a high school.
Do you guys not have this in Canada?
Not high school, so much.
Really?
Like, I think maybe basketball, and I could be wrong, right? Like, you know, I'm not exactly an expert, but
it's like you can sometimes get an indication based on
and then you don't exactly like bike past the hockey arena, even if you do, it's like it's closed, right? Like it's a little different.
But hockey, probably you guys get good turnout and stuff. But like you said, like it's any sport, you know, in high school is usually pretty well attended. Like for the most part,
But then, like, you know, the path, let's say for somebody who's on the competitive side of the spectrum, right? Like for a baseball or a football, basketball, etc., is pretty clear, right? Like the elite is the National Basketball Association, or it's like, you know, whatever the pro league is, and then the tiers under that. But there's like a lot of opportunity for growth in those areas. Whereas wrestling, just grappling in general, right? Until recently, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like until recently, it wasn't really that clear. So like to me, you guys are like,
definitely right,
To me, you guys are like pro skateboarders. Like,
you know
what I mean?
Early adaptation of
like Tony Hawk type of thing,
yeah.
right? Which incidentally is from like around California. So
true. Yeah, Tony Hawk, he went to my high school for a year.
There you go.
Before he dropped out and did pro skating.
Amazing,
I think his son actually is he trains jiu-jitsu.
Nice. I did not know that.
Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah,
there you
small
go.
world.
Yeah, and the jiu-jitsu community is even smaller, right? Like
For sure. Isn't that crazy to think about? Yeah, you think of skating as a small sport, and then you're like, oh my god, jiu-jitsu is way smaller. than that.
And
exactly. It's realize how small a sport it is.
100%. Yeah. But did you like? Because when you made, what year was the ADCC that you
2019.
2019. Okay, that was a big one.
It was the first. It was the first, I'd say, big one. Because it was in the U.S. And there was 4,000 people, 4,000 tickets sold. You know, and so I think around 4,000 people over the course of the weekend or whatever. It was in LA, it was like a hop, skip, and a jump from my college. So I just drove over and shit. Like,
amazing.
It was really a cool experience. But I was completely out of my depth as far as being capable of winning. But it was good experience for sure.
Holy shit! Yeah, definitely.
But it was cool to go from. I mean, I was watching the ADCC, the previous cycle, which was 2017. Because it's every 2 years. I was watching that at my a viewing party at like my friends or like a group of friends' house. At like 2 a.m. 2 days in a row.
It was in like Barcelona or something.
It was in Finland. Yeah, they did one in Barcelona. It was probably that might have been like
2007 or 9.
It might have been. It might have been. But this one was in Finland, and it was amazing. You know, it was like it was the first year it was on Flow. It was, we could watch every single match. We could watch all I was the bracket boy. So like,
nice.
I, wrote in all the brackets and stuff. And I even called like a few, like big moments. I remember I called, Craig Jones over Leandro Lowe.
Nice.
I predicted that, which was like, I'm shocked that, more people, I was really deep in the scene, I guess, point being, right? But anyways, it was very cool to go from that to only 2 years later, I'm competing in the tournament, That's crazy. I was still a brown belt, it was like very, very cool and like definitely humbling experience, because I mean, like I said, I was completely out of my depth and I shouldn't have like I shouldn't have been so confident. I shouldn't say that because obviously you need confidence, but like I shouldn't have been as confident as I was. Like knowing what I know now, like I thought I had a real chance, you know, but back now who I am now, like I realized that I did not have a chance. I had no chance. And that's not to say that like I shouldn't have done it or I shouldn't have tried or like I shouldn't have been confident, you know? But I wasn't. I was capable of maybe beating a couple guys at the tournament, you know. But the people that you know I did compete against, I didn't have a chance, you know? Which is okay, you know. And like that's like, you know, when you're 5 years old, you're going against like you're rolling with a 15-year-old. Yeah, you're not gonna beat him. Exactly. But when you're, you know, I don't know, like what would it be, like a 20 and they're 35, you got a chance. You can beat them. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, the youth and inexperience sometimes, you know, just doesn't work in your favor, you know? But once you get a little maturity and see in more perspective and experience, you know, like, yeah, I mean, I definitely, I'm capable of winning ADCC nowadays. And I can confidently say that based on what I know and, you know, the evidence that I've, you know, backed in not just training, but in competition, you know, that they can support that. And just, you know, how I view the sport and understand the sport a little more now than back then, you know.
And the rule sets and everything, right?
Yeah, I didn't even really know the rules at ADCC back then. Yeah.
I gotta submit this guy.
For the trials, for trials, I had no idea ever. Like, I was just like, I'm just gonna be trying to submit them the entire time. I didn't know, I think I might have known like the half points, half non-points. I knew like no guard pulling in the finals. But I didn't know anything about like the nuance of the rules. I didn't know you could try to submit someone out of bounds. I kind of remember seeing this in the Stuart Cooper like ADCC highlight videos. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Oh, maybe it was every 30 minutes, maybe.
No worries.
I was wrong. I'm sorry. But yeah, in the Stuart Cooper highlight videos, they had that Fabricio Verdum and Vinny Magalhaes armbar. Like, I think that might have been Barcelona, actually, maybe. And they're off the mats, you know? And I was like, okay, like, mental note, or just, it made sense to me that you don't reset a submission if it's just off, like, slightly off the mats. It doesn't really make sense. So then I had a few instances of that in trials, and, like, I didn't know that was a rule. I was just, like, in my mind, but you don't stop if you're going off the mats. It doesn't really make sense, you know? So, so that was all. Yeah, I didn't really know the rules necessarily. I just was like, I'm gonna try really hard to submit the person.
What an experience, though, right? You said you were 17?
No. I was 20. I mean, I wasn't far off. I was young for sure.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, man. And it's funny because I was gonna ask you about trials too, because you've done many trials. And like every single time I see a highlight reel or a clip, and maybe it's because it is a highlight reel, but I'm seeing somebody like fly through a table or land on the carpet, keep rolling. People are like, get out of the way, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what is this gangster tournament that like is leading up to the big show, right? Because it's not even the actual ADCC. And sometimes from the outside looking in, I feel like the trials are more intense than the actual show. I don't know if that's possible.
Sure. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So in some ways, it is a little more. Yeah. And it's funny because you see all that wild shit and like you'll just see like crazy disparities in skill level. But that can sometimes lead to really weird matches, you know? Because like the dude who's really low skilled, he'll use tactics that he has to use in order to keep a match close against someone who's much more skillful. And sometimes those tactics don't look very good. It means shoving someone in a table. It means, you know, like pushing someone out of bounds. It means like, I don't know, flying through the air, flying scissor takedown, you know, like kind of Connie Basami, like style takedowns on them, you know, stuff like that can kind of even the score a little bit, you know. But at ADCC, it's a much closer level. You see very, very little of that. You don't see as much like trickery in matches. You don't see any buggy chokes. You don't see any, you know, like, I don't know, someone pulling like a, you know, maybe these days as much. You don't see like flying arm bars or flying triangles, you know. You know, stuff like that, even flying scissors, really. So you kind of do still every now and then, I guess, but for the most part, the matches are much closer because the skill level is like relatively equal. Trials is not really the case. Like there are disparities, and if the dude with the lower skill level wants to win, he's got to do something a little bit, I don't know, risky is not the right word, but just like, I don't know, a little more off the cuff.
No, that makes sense.
You know, so it's funny, you know, you even noticed that.
Yeah. It's always like, and like PGF is almost like along the same lines. Like there's always like action happening off the mats, and it's like I'm on the fence about the bowl, the pit, the alley, whatever you want to call it.
Really?
You know what I mean?
You're on the fence. Why is that?
Versus like just the regular mat.
What do you prefer?
Well, okay, so if we're gonna get into the arena layout, I think it makes a lot of sense to have a karate combat style kind of setup. Aesthetically, I didn't love the bowl. I thought it just looked kind of weird. But I'm curious of your perspective, and we'll touch on competing in that space because that was awesome to watch.
Yeah, thank you.
But I do think that like the crowd should be somewhat elevated, not like always on the same level.
Well,
because
it doesn't even make sense.
It's very hard to see,
like
right?
I'd be looking over, like where the TV is now.
Exactly.
That's silly.
Yeah.
You need to elevate the audience for sure.
Yeah, and I think like it's terrible to have to like pull two people from the side of like under a table to the back to the center of the mat, especially because you don't have the gi, right? In the gi, you got these handles. You can just kind of two or three reps come together and they can pull just about anybody. But it's such, I don't know. I don't think, there's anything wrong with either or, but, and I get like wanting to interrupt the action less, right? Like in the bowl, it seemed like you could just keep grappling, but then I'm curious actually for somebody who competed in it, like how much preparation went into the actual space and like thinking strategically about like what might happen if you're pushed up against the back, or you're just like, fuck it, I'll circle out. Like,
yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. So like a lot of things, I guess, to touch on there. The first one being just like, which is preferable, I think, from a spectating and like a competing standpoint. For me, in both cases, it'll be the bowl or the pit or something like that. Okay, I think because like, our sport, as with many sports, it's mostly viewed via streaming. Yeah. So like the amount of people that are going to be there, like, you need to elevate them, but it's not like there's always going to be that many people that you need to cater to in the live audience, right? For most events, I'd say, like events worth watching, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be streamed. And so you can stream a really good event if you just angle a camera upwards, right? And looking down on the bowl. And I think that looks really good. Yeah. I think the other thing that like helps from a competitive standpoint is like guys can't flee, they can't run out of, they can't, flee submissions. They can't run out of bounds, and you see this a lot at IBJJF. You see it at ADCC a lot as well sometimes. And that gets messy because they allow you to go off the mat, which I think can be problematic at times. So I think from both perspectives, I personally favor the pit or the bowl or something like that. Aesthetically, the bowl, I actually like it a little better than the pit. Fair I will enough, say, yeah. And I think even competing in it, the pit, just the angled wall, I don't know. Like, it's not very natural, and not that like a rounded edge is like whenever you're fighting in an empty pool, but like not super natural either. I guess it's slightly better in my opinion than just like the kind of short angle. Yeah,
I'm surprised nobody got stuck in the corner of the pit actually, like during the first GI.
Luke Rockhold did. I remember.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Against Pat Downey. Yeah. And then, I think there's maybe one that I can't really think of, but Caden Tackett got stuck there for a second, I believe, but not like, but that was mainly just Luke and Pat, I remember, is the only person that got stuck there. But yeah, and then as far as like training in a space, I will, if I have the prior knowledge, right? Like if I know what I'm going to be competing in prior to the event, which at this level, most of the times I do. Sometimes, like when you're coming up, you don't. You know? But if I do know, I will do rounds that'll simulate the like competition space, right? So like if it's a cage, I'll try to do rounds in a cage. Yeah. If it's a pit, nowadays you have actually pit walls, so it's helpful. But like that wasn't really a thing a couple of years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like if it's mat space, whatever. So I'll try to kind of simulate that stuff. And the cage specifically was always really difficult for me because I would get usually like MMA guys or wrestlers who knew how to use the cage a lot better than me. And that was a big adjustment. Luckily, I had a bit of MMA training when I was younger that like I had one specialty that like my gym kind of like prided themselves on was having very good cage wrestling. So I was at least relatively familiar, but not having trained it super often since then, and going against MMA fighters or wrestlers that did know how to use the cage and were using it or were training it more regularly than me, like can put me in a little bit of a disadvantage sometimes. So that was always a problem for me, was like getting stuck against the fence, whether someone's scraping me off their back or whether they're pushing my head, you know, in some sort of form of guard, you know, half guard or full guard, like into the fence. So that was always something that kind of tripped me up.
I always imagine like you have like a really, like you want to prioritize your close guard attacks and you got the guy in your close guard, but you're up against the fence like this.
Totally.
You can't really like
100%. You know. Yeah, you can't. I think because like a lot of like your full guard attacks are going to be dropping off your shoulders sometimes, you know, so you can raise your hips as high as you can. You just can't do that if your chin is in your chest and your you know, shoulders are like, you know, stuffed into the cage. So that's definitely part of it. But yeah, oftentimes I'll try to work in, you know, in like whatever setting, you know, the tournament's going to take place. But for the UFC BJJ, we only got one session, I remember, in the bowl. They let us run around and stuff and like, you know, working in a little bit, but which was cool, but didn't get a whole lot of time to train in it until I competed in it. And I was the first match of like the entire tournament. I think it was the first match ever in the bowl.
Nice.
I just realized that, I guess. That's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
But that's pretty cool. I didn't actually realize that until just 100%. Now. It's pretty tight. Yeah, I'll take that to the bank. But
hell yeah.
For whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I didn't even get to see how people would be using it in the tournament. Like I didn't even get to watch other matches, you know, before I got to you know, had to compete in it. So that was definitely tricky for me. I think I used it okay a few times. You know, I think I found that like if I'm passing someone's guard and their head is, you know, facing away from the bowl, but we're like close enough to the edge, north-south passing with my feet kind of like running up the wall and angling my head down really did seem to work really well. I did that in the match that I won after like the show, you know, I did a match on just one of the normal cards and I used that same tactic that I'd kind of thought of in like mid-match, right? Like, you know, in the first match that I had against, he's from LA, Isaac Dorderland. He's a gi world champion. So he's super good, but I was kind of starting to like think about it then, but then, you know, only got to really like use it successfully the time that I did the match after the show. But anyway, so it's like, you know, piecing all that stuff together is like, it took a lot of thought and it was like kind of difficult to do on the fly, but it's really cool. I enjoy it. And I think it's a good space to do, you know, jiu-jitsu matches. Cause like I said, you can't run and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I'm starting to think that you guys are the modern day, like pro grapplers are basically modern day, like, I don't want to say like Street Fighter, but the video game, like, you know what I'm saying? Because like every stage is different, you know, like you fight on the midway when you fight Guile, right? Like that's his home turf, and then you fight on the street, and then like the
and so many different like eclectic personalities and styles. Yeah,
exactly.
And, you know, that's so Street Fighter. That's hilarious.
And then like PGF, it almost looks like a carpet. All right, and then you got these couches and stuff, and it looks kind of like a little gaudy
aesthetic. Yeah, it's different than just normal mat space. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, and then you got the bright blue of the IBJJF, and then
I kind of like the blue and yellow of the IBJJF. I will say I like that aesthetically, but I'm not super in favor of the rules or whatever. But not in favor, but I don't personally preference the rules. The aesthetic is cool, I think.
Yeah,
I wish they just did more, and they do with the crown. I don't know if they do. They do some no-gi. I know they've done like absolute.
There's no no-gi crown, not yet.
They did.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
you're right.
Kainan won.
Yeah, Gabby Basanya won that one too. Yeah.
Did you no-gi?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
I'm not mistaken.
But I remember Kainan won one.
Yeah.
I think Victor Hugo might have won another one. No, Cyborg actually won one back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it's crazy that they did these. Yeah. Only absolute though. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but I wish they did more of that, you know, like no-gi super fight kind of stuff, you know. Not super fight, but like, you know,
tournaments.
IBJJF rules and IBJJF, like, you know, mats and, you know, format and stuff, but everyone gets to focus on those matches. I don't like the tournament as much because I'm on flow on my freaking TV and I'm like, just like, oh man, I'm like, you know, scrolling through 20 matches or 20 mats rather to like see, do I know this guy? Do I know this guy? I'm looking for this guy and I don't see them. And then like, I click on a match that I did want to watch, and then while I was watching that match, the guy I wanted to watch already went, you know? And I'm like, oh shit, it already happened. So it's like, that stuff is annoying, whereas I think that could be fixed, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, obviously, you know, I think
trying to put through like 500 competitors in one day is tough. Right?
Yeah, I think IBJJF would serve them to do what ADCC does, you know, and they have like the opens, which IBJJF does the opens.
Yeah.
But then they could do, you know, worlds as more of like an ADCC format, you know, like only pro competitors or pro or whatever qualified, like, you know, elite guys. And, you know, only 3 mats, you know, it still like takes a little bit of, you know, surfing to like see what you want to watch, but like everyone's focused on that, you know. Rather than no-gi worlds, it's like, yeah, it's super tight. I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's like, dog, there's masters blue belts competing at the same, like on the same, basically the same mat space, you know, or like next to, you know, black belt world champions. Like, you know, that's a silly look to me. I think they need to, you know, if they want to be taken serious, and you know, I think too, like you need to incentivize. We were kind of talking about this when we were getting coffee. Like you need to incentivize elite level athletes to want to compete at your event. Like, you know, there's a lot of names that won't do those events purely because there's no real competition. Like, you get a lot of attention. You get to call yourself a world champion, but let's say you don't. Let's say you lose. You just like I said, you know, it's like explaining the registration fees, you know, travel. The yearly, you know, membership costs or whatever, all that, you know, like I said, just like the travel costs alone, you spend all that money and you give them your name, you give them, you know, your image, likeness, right? For that tournament, and you lose first round. Like, that's kind of bullshit, you know? You didn't get compensated in any way, you know? You lost a lot.
God forbid it's on a highlight reel, too.
Oh, my God, yeah. And so it's happened to tons and tons of guys. Guillotine. Oh, my God, yeah. Like, you know, I don't want to throw, like, anyone under the bus or anything, because I've lost to IBJJF before, and it's not fun, but, like, I've seen some guys who are big names in the sport get flying triangled in the first 20 seconds of the match, you know? And it's like, all right, so you just did all that, you know, to, like, by, like, you know, like a Brazilian dude who, you know, is not as big a name. Like, he's building his name off you with an awesome submission that does end up on highlight reels that you didn't get compensated for in any way, you know? And it's like, not like, you know, I don't know, however much you're going to get paid for matches, like going to change your life or anything, but it's like, you deserve at least that, you know, I think.
No, absolutely.
For, you know, for at least those pro level guys. And that's the thing is, like, it's just a lawless land, you know, but it's like, you kind of have to advocate for yourself, you know, and you know, I don't know. It's like, it's a really interesting time to be part of the sport.
100%.
I think you need people who at least think about that and cognizant of that, and don't just like, aren't just like, I'll just go do whatever. And like, I'll hope that I can call myself a world champion and then sell instructionals and seminars and stuff. It's like, you can do it other ways, bro. You know, you can.
I think you're describing what I'm realizing is like a new niche skill set / occupation, maybe, which is like athletic advisor / coach, you know what I mean? Because, like, for example, with all of your experience of all the different formats, the different rule sets, right? Even like different countries and traveling and like, you know, what you have to expect as a competitor leading up to something, during and after, right? Obligations, whether they're like with sponsors or with the event itself, interviews, things like that. Like, you could definitely like help, right? As I like, you're very unselfish with your experience, and I appreciate you sharing it with me. You know what I mean? But like, for somebody who might be like looking to follow in your footsteps, type of thing, would benefit from, you know, kind of having that as a coach type of thing.
Thank you. I hope to, and that's been a goal of mine for a while, is like market one-on-one coaching and stuff.
Nice.
As well as obviously long-term, want to open my own school and lead people, and doesn't have to be competitors or anything, you know, but like just lead, you know, people, give them some guidance that I wish I'd had not that I didn't have great guidance, but you know what I mean? Like, maybe some stuff I wish I knew. You know, but well,
it's lived, and so your lived experience too. Like, it's personal that you'll convey it your way like nobody else can, right? Because nobody else is you. So
for sure, but I think now the issue is like time. I don't have the time to do that,
right?
But, you know,
but you're still like at the elite competition
actively
level.
Competing and stuff. I'm I feel like I'm just now I'm like just approaching my prime. You know, maybe not even there yet. And so like, if I were to like try to put too much on my plate, and not that it like adds too much time or anything, but it's like it's a big, just the time commitment is a big part of it, you know. And when I do something, I like to do it all the way, you know. Like, I don't like any which is why I appreciate you even like coming all the way down here and like setting up and like,
this is great.
You know what I mean? Like,
so
that's what, like, some people ask me to do podcasts and stuff, and I'm super happy to do it. And I love talking to people and stuff, but it's like, they had a, lazy kind of like, format, or like, they didn't have any questions prepared, like things like this, and it's like, I don't know. It just like, it's not that that's not dope, but it's someone who does things the right way, like really stands out to me,
Right,
I try to operate the same way. Like everything I do, I want to do with like maximum effort. And I don't like to half-ass anything, and I appreciate when people do the same thing. So
I think, no, I mean, like for me, like the one thing I refuse to do is do it via Zoom. And again, like it's not a knock on anybody else who does, but it's just like, I was in so many conference calls leading up through the pandemic, working for the government of Canada and and for other employers. Like, I would be happy if I lived my whole life not doing another conference call.
Zoom, right? Yeah,
of course, probably that won't be the case. But so but this, where I've got creative control, I'm like, screw it, let's do it in person.
It's huge. Yeah, no, it's great.
And then. But yeah, so I do want to touch on your experience and I don't know how, like, if there's anything you can or cannot talk about. I'm not really like about the scandals or anything like that. Like, I'm curious about your experience at like UFC BJJ and how it was like working with the company. Yeah. And like, because like you're part of that first generation of grapplers that were UFC fighters. Oh yeah. Right? Like purely in a grappling format. Yeah. Which I think is so cool. Like.
Yeah, it's insane to even think about and hear you say, because that's like, I watched UFC growing up. I'm a huge UFC fan. I'm a huge MMA fan. I was like, back when it was a little bit easier to be an MMA fan, like I was all over it. I like knew everything. I could name you, I probably still could, to be honest. I could name you the main event and location and probably date of every UFC pay-per-view from UFC maybe like, 100 all the way to UFC 250. You know what I mean? Like I was that deep. Now it's a little bit harder, I will say. And time is limited, obviously, but there's also just so much a higher volume of events. Yeah. But like I was as deep as you can get. I knew every single guy. I knew his record. I knew his wins. I knew his losses. I knew like his style. I knew like everything, And so, and at one point in my life, like UFC and becoming an MMA fighter was an ambition, you know? It's like, it fleeted fairly quick, I'd say, but like, this is a cool way to, I guess, like bridge that, kind of, early like wish in my life, it would be cool to go back and tell my younger self, like you didn't, get in the UFC, and I'd be like, oh, bro, what happened, I'd be like, no, hear me out.
Exactly.
You did get to compete for the UFC, and like, and that's a cool thing, and whether I like, win a title with them or whatever, it's just a cool thing to know that like, I was involved in something a little bit groundbreaking, a little bit, like I said, I was the first match ever in that bowl. Yeah. That's pretty sweet. Very much so. There's a lot of like cool, I guess, elements to it, and so, it's great, and like,
I thought you guys were gonna do like a whole, or the company was gonna do a whole like Ultimate Fighter kind of thing, like where like reality show type, living in the house and everything like that. And I think those maybe have like seen their shelf life like kind of come and go type of thing. But so how was the experience basically? Like, how much lead time did you get? Like, and you talked a little bit about your preparation for like fighting in the bowl. It was kind of ad hoc, which I guess is to be expected. But like, how much of a shift was it working with that company as like because they had this kind of like cohesive like unit. They got this media like team, right? How was that working with them as opposed to like working with like a smaller like promotion, or maybe somebody who was just starting out like local tournaments type of thing? Like,
I mean, I'll definitely say like, so yeah, they had a huge team, very organized. We didn't have to worry about a thing while we were there. Yeah. Like it was awesome. Got us everything we wanted. They took care of us the whole time. The thing you give up when you gain that is a little bit of like freedom or like creative control, or not even creative control. Like not that we need that or whatever, but just like general freedom, there was, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, I guess, or give away. I don't think they would really care, but we didn't stay in the house. We stayed in hotel rooms. And in order to keep the, like, you know, filming authentic, they didn't encourage us, or they didn't allow us to, like, interact, you know, off camera, because they wanted everything to be filmed. They wanted the show to have as much content as possible, you know? So
Fair
like,
enough.
So it was a little tough in that, like, we were isolated for a good amount. We didn't have our phones and stuff. They took them for the, Yeah. So you're just kind of isolated. You're in this, you know, they didn't let us leave the hotel room too much outside of, like, filming and stuff, you know? So it was definitely challenging. And like I said, they took care of everything. Like, you know, anything I wanted, they got us. Was awesome. Yeah. But, you know, just like I said, that, like, lack of freedom and stuff, which was tough for me as, like, someone who does this primarily as a way to escape the rat race, you know?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Like, I struggle with that for sure. I don't like, and I maybe have a problem with authority too, you know, and I tried to be very respectful to everyone. But, like, in my head, I was like, what the fuck is this guy telling me, you know, all that stuff. And I love all of them. They were really, really sweet, but I'm just naturally, you know, I'm like, dude, I'm like kind of your age, and you're, you know, like some, you know, producer or whatever, you know, telling me that. Not the producers were dope. Like, that's not the exact, that's not the exact right example, but, like, just in general, you know, I'm like, I don't really love being told what to do. And, you know, I don't think Cole and, you know, all of them would mind me saying, you know, like, it is like an adjustment, you know,
100%.
Going from someone who I am, like, kind of my own boss. Like, obviously I'm a contractor. I work with other people who, you know, employ me and stuff, but for the most part, like, you know, I don't clock in, clock out, which is nice. And then to go to something like that is, like, beyond just clocking in, clock out. That's like 24/7, you know, control, which was tough. So that was interesting for me.
How long was the whole process? Like,
it's like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's pretty short.
Wasn't too bad. Yeah. Cause the Ultimate Fighter is like 8 weeks. I think. Maybe longer.
No
10.
wonder they kind of go crazy in the house.
Oh my God. I could not imagine, dude, genuinely. And
I remember the first seasons, like, you know, like season 4 with
Chris leaving. That's one of my favorite seasons.
That's the best season to watch.
Truly was.
And
BJ were the coaches. But then, like, you know, Nate Diaz, Manny Gambirian, Joe Lozon was on there. I'm forgetting so many more, but there was like so many, like,
so that's kind of what I was expecting, to be honest. And then one thing that I thought that they did which was really cool, was the free shows on YouTube. I think, like,
that was sick.
It was a turning point for me to see, like, a company of their size acknowledge, like, no, this YouTube route, like, is makes sense, probably, you know, financially, but also just in terms of, like, broadcasting to a wider audience.
Isn't that crazy? Right? They've like seen the value, and obviously you sell some ad space that I'm sure counts for a lot of it, 100%. But brand awareness, like, it's like getting your platform viewed. Like, so I don't know if you saw, ACBJJ was a Russian promotion. They did an event that was, like, a really stacked event. It had Arman Sarukian in the main event. Nice. It had I forget who was the co-main, but, like, really,
it was recent, right?
Just last week. Dude, I was rewatching some matches this morning, and I'm looking on the YouTube thing, and, like, guess how many viewers? I don't know if this is a stupid question, but
like 500,000.
Dude, it's like 750,000 viewers in the course of. It was on Saturday or whatever, maybe like Friday, so it's been less than a week. Dude, that's insane. And I remember watching on the stream, there's 18,000 concurrent viewers at one point. That was just for the undercard. Like, kind of insane that you can get that level of viewership from, you know, YouTube. And granted, they're a Russian promotion. Russia has a really large, you know, population. And, you know, Arman is a huge, you know, Russian superstar. You know, he's obviously Armenian, but he lives in Russia and stuff. So, like, you know, big fan base and stuff. But, like, that's insane numbers to pull, you know, for a jiu-jitsu event. So the fact that a lot more promotions are recognizing that is massive, and good for us, you know, because the more you can remove a paywall, you know, between us and the viewer, the better. But it's huge. No, it is huge for us and for the sport. And so
I wonder, like, do we have Craig Jones to thank about this? Like, for putting CJI on YouTube?
Great example. Maybe.
The first one was on YouTube.
It was.
And it's free. And it was like, I don't remember anybody really doing that. Maybe just not at that scale, right? Like,
no, you're right. It didn't happen. Like,
because, like, we'll stream, like, the in-house tournament, but, like, you know, that's not CJI, or it's not.
No, you know, and that's even great too, you know, because like no one in their right mind is going to pay to see an in-house tournament, but you can get a few hundred viewers on YouTube, you know, maybe a few thousand, like, and huge.
Some of the parents and some of the, like, the other students that might not be able to be there, you know what I mean? Like,
it's super huge. So Yeah, do we have Craig to thank? Probably, yeah. Because I don't think anyone realized the success you could have on YouTube, throwing out an event for free.
Yeah.
Until we saw CGI, which had like a few million views,
Definitely,
I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably, I think I remember seeing like 50 million plus across all platforms. I don't know if that's true.
Okay, yeah.
But like you can combine Facebook and YouTube and whatever other streaming service they're using, like Twitch maybe or something. I don't know. Probably, but like that's insane. That's huge. And I don't think anyone realized that until Craig proved that it, is possible. Because like Flow Grappling, for as much as they've done for the sport, they're always incredibly secretive about numbers. Even the UFC on Fight Pass was really secretive about numbers. Like they didn't want us to ever see viewership, which like, I don't know why. Maybe it's tax purposes or something. I don't know.
Maybe like the old broadcasting way of doing things. Maybe,
but even like network television did put out ratings and stuff.
True.
So it's like it's weird that Flow, and I think that it also probably some sort of like not wanting a revenue share, so it could have been part of it, but like now that we know, like, damn, this is how many people are interested in jiu-jitsu. Not that Flow ever had that level of views behind a paywall. Obviously, you're gonna probably drastically cut the number of people that are gonna view an event.
100%.
But still, like, we just never knew that. And it was super useful that, we had Craig to kind of open that door for us. And since CGI, I personally know, like, we've seen payouts increase. We've seen, viewership increase. We've seen popularity, and it could largely be because of him. I hesitate to give him too much credit because, that's obviously there's a ton of other people that took part of it. But we definitely have him a large part to thank. And I think he's done wonderful things for the sport. I think, he's super controversial and not polarizing. I don't think he's polarizing, but I think he's not in the same way Gordon Ryan is, right? But he's I don't know how you'd even describe this.
Personally, and this is with all respect due to somebody that I think is super cool, he is elite level troll. When he wants to be, you know what I mean? And that
speaks to the current generation, to kids that are on the internet,
100%.
People who are on the internet, he understood rage baiting before anyone else did.
Exactly, yeah, absolutely. It's funny, it's essentially internet etiquette almost, or at least a know-how that is another skill set that in your future advising up and coming athletes, you can be like, okay, this chapter is on how to manage trolls and internet, seriously. Although the landscape may change between now and then, who knows,
Dude, yeah, it changes all the time.
It wasn't where it is now when you started, I'm imagining.
No, not at all.
Which actually is an interesting segue, because I want to ask you, because as far as I don't know if you consider yourself a jiu-jitsu influencer, but you're certainly, you're certainly, I think among the people that's putting out some of the best content.
Thanks, dude.
And that's not just because I'm sitting in your house. I actually feel that way, right?
Thanks, dude. Nice.
Cool. And then, and I want to see more of it, right? And then, at what point in your, coming up through the competitive scene, did you decide or realize that this is a side of the business that I either want to be involved in or I need to be involved in?
Yeah, it's definitely, that was the latter. And to answer the first question, just recently, right?
Really,
oh my God, yeah. I was on social media obviously because it's a tool, but mostly just I only had friends, and I wanted to share maybe just what I'm doing, you know, with maybe my friends.
Yeah.
And so my, social media is pretty bare bones or whatever. It's just I did this tournament, I did this is how I performed. Yeah. And that's what I'm up to, that was pretty much it. But then and I kind of kept that formula for a long time, just thinking I'm just updating my friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Now I'm realizing it's oh, there's way more to it than that you need to do if you're someone in my position. I need to reach the widest audience possible for many reasons. Obviously, money is a big one, right? Exposure, it leads to, people paying for your products, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's a motivation, but just another motivation will be to, I don't know, share my experiences on a larger scale, and and hopefully influence people, which is such a overused maybe term or whatever, but influence people who don't know much about the sport or whatever, or like are in a similar position to me, or just like, I don't know, were where I was at some point in my life, which, you know, like at times was like, you know, maybe I was like lost or whatever. It's like, I try to give, you know, those type of experiences, but also like add levity to, you know, this like space that can sometimes be a little too serious, you know. I try to find a balance. It's like, it is tough because I'm still finding my voice, you know. I only started doing this in like probably right before the last half of this year, you know. In the time that I've like, I mean, I just made a goal for myself, like in about like, I don't know, I forget what it would have been, like maybe August, I guess. Like I'm posting every single day, and it's going to be quality content. It's going to be good. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it and see what happens. And since I decided to do that, I've doubled my following, right? Just at least in followers, right? But I mean, in viewership, I remember, you know, at some point in the, you know, early part of this year, it's like I'd get like 100,000, 150,000 views on my page, you know, total, which is like for someone in my position is not very good. And then by, you know, the end of the year, it's like, you know, consistently it's like 5 million views, you know, and like over that, which is great, you know, and that's where I kind of sweet spot that I need to be if I want to, you know, reach people. Right. And so like that's really big for my progress and stuff, you know, but it's only through consistency, and it's only through, you know, actively choosing to take a step in that direction on this, you know, and like I said, I've been doing this for, I don't know, over 10 years now, around like less than 10 years at a professional level, you know, but it's like that, if it's been a lot of work and a lot of effort, I need to capitalize because I'm not gonna be able to compete forever. I need to find a way to like extend this, whatever this is, you know, I need to find a way to extend this, into, however long I can. And social media is the best way to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm proud of how I've like done it, and I'm proud of the work that I've put into it. But there's a lot more I need to figure out. I need to, like I said, find my voice. I need to be able to still be myself. And like, I think I'm fairly funny if you kind of get to know me and stuff. And that's like, takes me a while to open up to other people. Like if you're one of my friends, you kind of know how funny I am, I think. But if you're not, then I won't show you that. You know?
You won't
like,
lead with that necessarily, right?
Yeah, just like I won't even think to, you know, like it's not even really something that we'll get to, you know. Like,
fair enough, yeah.
I was, you know, we'll exchange pleasantries and that's it. And I might even seem pretty dry. Right. But once you like are my friend, it's like I genuinely think I'm like one of the funniest people out there, you know. Like I'm not just like tooting my own horn.
Even just
like,
your bit with like following the Helena Krevar match with the
Thank you.
That was hilarious.
Thank you. Yeah, it's stuff like that, you know. I think like but I need to figure out a way to like show people that consistently and on command, right? A comedian, if you just talk to him, he's not that funny, right? But when it comes time to like perform, he knows how to bring it out, you know. And I need to just be able to find that, you know. So I
also like the crossover that kind of happened naturally. I guess both of you were at the same competition or something, and then you had like another installment of poking fun at Helena, and she's actually there looking at you, like shaking her head like this guy. You know? That was so good.
Those are good. Yeah, she's a good sport. Actually.
Kudos to Helena.
Yeah, too, respect. Like, if Helena's watching, like she was really like a much better comedic stage presence than I expected. She one-lined or like single taked every shot we did. Nice. Like I was very impressed. She came up with her own lines and everything. And that's I'm not as good at that to be honest, but I think just like, you know, point being, I think just like getting myself out there, developing that voice a little bit more. I do take the sport really seriously. I take my career very seriously, but at the same time I like to add a little bit of levity and like in just in my life in general. I enjoy humor. I enjoy like, you know, just like I enjoy messing around and stuff. So like I like to find that balance on my social media, try to display that, you know. It's hard to figure out what people want more of, you know. And that's why like I try to gauge, you know, look at metrics and stuff and see what resonates with people more. Sometimes it is humor, sometimes it is the more serious stuff, sometimes it's just like stuff more about me, sometimes it's more about like, you know, my journey or my thoughts, my experiences, you know, whatever. A lot of times it's about Moneyberg.
I was gonna I was debating whether or not to bring up that name because I don't want to give him any additional publicity.
But we don't have to touch on it for too long. But I will just say, like, I think like when you see someone who's like infiltrating our sport in a really negative way, I believe makes the sport look very silly, makes himself look silly. I think it's like something that like someone in my position is kind of not obligated, but like inclined to touch on. Yeah. And so like when I see like this like old, roided out, like kind of like finance dude who is super insecure, has this like massive overinflated ego, and he's trying to, equate himself to some of the greatest athletes in the sport, people that I personally know, that I've seen work, so hard for what they have. Like this fucking guy trying to come in, trying to buy all of our, all of our credibility or whatever, like not respectfully, but like, like candidly, fuck that dude, And so like people sometimes wonder like, why are you so upset? It's like, for all the reasons I just said, but like this dude is making a mockery of our sport, and he's making a mockery of the thing that I believe in, and like the power that I know the sport has. Like instead he's making a fucking infomercial for his whatever the fuck. I don't even know what he sells. Some sort of wealth management, shit, which is like the stupidest shit on earth. If I like have anyone's attention right now, use YouTube. Like you will learn so much more for absolute, free. And if they're trying to sell you something on there, don't buy it. Like it's very easy to understand these concepts that this fucking, like, I don't know why I gestured to you. Fuck, sorry. This like, 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 bro, no, this like dude is trying to sell you, it's very easy concept to understand. It's very easy. I think like mindset to put yourself into. You don't need to spend. It'd be one thing if it's a $10 Patreon. It's like, okay, cool. Maybe you'll come up with some stuff that's being, that they save for these finance guys save behind a paywall. That's whatever. When it's $10,000, it's, I don't know what the cheapest is. It might be $1,000. Too much money. Don't do it. Like, I don't know how, what else I can tell you, but like, do not do that. And so, and so like, when I see him actively using us and using the platform that kind of, we give him, by like, he rage baits us, obviously, right? Like, we do kind of give it to him, but like, he's using us, and like, I could either let that happen, or I could do what I'm, doing, and just like kind of comment on it, or like make fun of him, which I think I do really well. He makes it so easy. It's not saying much, but like, I think that is a bit of my obligation. I don't see anyone else in my like position do that, and I think it's because they want to secure a payday from him. But it's like, guys, like $4,000 or whatever he's gonna pay you for a weekend, where you have to wear his fucking stupid shirt and talk to his stupid ass and be on his dumb podcast. Like, don't do it. Please do not do it. Like, I'll hook you up with seminars or whoever you want to hook up with to get you that money. Like, but it's not worth it. It's not worth the publicity. It's not worth, tanking your reputation. Please join me in the fight to like stop people like this from thinking that they can infiltrate our sport. And like, this dude was sneaky. I didn't hear about him until he got his black belt. And then it's like, man, how did I not see that coming? Like, we should have been stopping this before it became a problem, Now, not that there's not celebrities, Mark Zuckerberg, Tom Hardy, I don't even know that chick's name. Ashton Kutcher, black belt. Like, you know what I mean? They're not selling you some shit. They're doing it because they, from what I can tell, they like the sport and they want to do this. But maybe they want to come off more manly. That's fine. That's different. They're not using it to manipulate and to market themselves, or to manipulate the audience that they're trying to sell things to. Right. That's the major difference. Why it bothers me a lot. And I'm not like, I maybe seem heated or triggered, but it's like, only because like I know I'm smart enough to not be fooled by this guy. There's a lot of people who aren't, and that's who he preys on. And so like, guys, don't get scammed by the I don't know, like scam callers that are calling you. Same way, I don't want to look at your phone and be like, wow, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Like, so does every other fucking financial influencer on YouTube who you have access to for free. Use them. Do not pay this dude any money. Don't even fucking watch his stupid videos because he's going to try to tell you something that is not, what do you call it? Like grounded in fact. Like his belt and shit, it's not real. It's like illegitimate. I'm an expert in the field, and I'm telling you this, right? The same way he's an expert in the financial field. I'm sure he can like call me poor or whatever. That's fine. I'm telling you, your black belt is bullshit, And so anyways, I guess I'd.
But tell me how you really feel.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Right?
I'm just kidding.
We'll move on from it from there. I already probably touched on it more than I want to. But,
No, but I mean, like,
it's important for that people know, how full of shit that dude is,
Yeah. No, I mean, like, this doesn't mean anything to anyone but me, but I just received my black belt, like, at the beginning of the month.
Oh,
right? I just got promoted.
Congrats, bro.
So, thanks.
Nice. I didn't even see that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, so that's been like 14 years, right? I just, like, on the mat, I'm not the best guy, I'm not the toughest guy, but I'm like
it's effort,
long, like light years from where I was when I started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love it. So like,
sure.
When it was handed to me by Professor Crane, it was like, to me, it is a big deal. Like it's like the journey doesn't end, obviously, but like it's a big like milestone that like there are many moments along the way, I thought I'd never make it. You know what I mean? Like, particularly around blue belt, the classic, like, I almost wanted to throw figuratively throw my belt in the garbage, right?
Sure.
Mostly that was because I wanted to throw myself in the garbage, right? It's not the belt's fault, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But then, like, you stick through it and life happens. And then, like, 14 years later, here I am, and I'm still as excited about it as I was before. So to me, like, a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, like, means a lot.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
It represents a lot. Yeah.
And it's okay if, like, for the next person, it means something different. You know what I mean? But there's a limit to, like, reality where, like, obtaining it, what I understand is obtaining it by financial means over a very short period of time with, like, to me, it just takes all the value out of it, right? And it's like Robert Drysdale, who is, like, very vocal about fake black belts.
Oh, is he really?
He's been quite vocal about it.
Dude, I saw him at trials. I should have talked to him. That's hilarious. I mean, like, I don't want to make my entire identity. Yeah, he was cool. I did talk to him about jiu-jitsu, but I didn't know that. That's respect.
So
a lot of people in his position, they would take a payout from, I see, like, tons of dudes like Jeff Glover and, Jake Shields, obviously, but, like, dude, they're just kissing this dude's ass to hope that he pays them money. And it's like, let's nip that in the bud, like these, like, fading legends, respectfully, like, you guys are trying to cling on to one last big payday or whatever, when realistically you could just be marketing your past accomplishments and the journey that you have, had in jiu-jitsu that I'm sure a lot of people would gain value from. Instead, you're trying to like siphon off this, dude who you think represents relevancy or money for you, know? And like that's not cool. So respect to Drysdale.
Oh yeah, 100%. And he was talking about like for IBJJF, for example, I think 20 is the earliest you can be. It might be 18 now for a black belt. It
might be 18, yeah.
But then like there's 3 years till you're a first dan, and then like a first degree, pardon me, and like so on and so forth. So there is like a measure of time at the very least, right? Like you can't have like a black belt at 12. At least you should be able to, right?
Yeah. And sports that do allow that are kind of looked at as bullshit. Karate
at this point, unfortunately,
it's like it sucks, but it's the watering down of those things.
Exactly, which I think is like
which sucks, but
biggest thing, right? Like in terms
biggest
of
worry, I guess. Is, that we have when we see something like this. For
exactly,
sure. Yeah.
Because I mean, you can order your belt online. It's just a piece of cloth. And I think it was Hensel Gracie that said it'll cover 3 inches of your butt. The rest is up to you, right?
Yeah.
And then, or in the 10th planet scenario, there is no belt.
Exactly.
The belt is an illusion, man.
Yeah.
But anyways, so needless to say, I completely agree. Like,
sure.
It's hard to watch, and then. You're like, how much do I want to like fuel this debate? But
I try to skirt the line.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying though about like feeling the need to like actually say something, right? Like,
I really do, you know, and with these financial influencer guys, also with he's the only kind of like jiu-jitsu like. He's very unique. He's also from what all I can see and observe. Is a scumbag, and like allegedly, I guess, I don't know, whatever. But like, you know what I mean? Like, he just looks like not a good person. Like, not like you can kind of, if you're like measured, I guess, by like not the amount of people that like you, but the amount of people that don't like you, and if like, I'm sure you only have a couple people that maybe don't like you, for whatever reason, maybe a few, right? And you wouldn't even know or care, but like this dude has millions, it seems like. And that's not a good sign. Like, you're doing something. That's usually an indication of something, deeper below the surface. So although I don't know everything about him or anything, he just seems like a bad person. And I don't like the sport being represented by someone like him.
Yeah.
And I could either like let him do what he's doing, which is already gaining notoriety, or I could attempt to, curb it by calling out what I think is bullshit.
At the end of the day, you can actually also say, like, at least I said something. You know what I mean? Like, stood up for what I believe in.
Stood up for the sport that means the world to me, and the people that mean the world to me.
And that like, to me, that comes through, like, you say the sport means the world to you. Like, it's evident. Like, before I even met you, I could tell just from your presence online, just from like your presence on the mat, right? Thanks, competitively, man. Like, it shows, right? Sure. And then that in turn, like for right now we're talking about social media, and yes, it's marketing, and you are your own brand and all these things. But beyond that, like, you can tell when somebody's putting their heart and soul into something. Yeah. And I think the success that you're having is probably like a large part a result of that, right? Yeah. Because if you were just like, one toe in, then you get a one toe result. Like,
exactly. Exactly. I see tons of people that say they're about it. They say they want to, compete at the highest level of the sport. They want to, do whatever. They want to, become something in the sport, whatever. It's like, well, you have to show that same level of, commitment, to the sport, right? Like you can't, you can't be going out every week and going to the bars and spending your entire night there, skipping Saturday training, whatever, training on the weekends, and then just like feeling like shit for the rest of the week, and your training suffers. Like, nah, dude, you're gonna have to be committing. Like, you're gonna have to sacrifice the things you don't want to sacrifice. You're gonna have to, truly, like, I think about jiu-jitsu 24/7, and like I obviously try to have a balance of like, real life, and obviously I live in this, I live in this, really cool city with my girlfriend. I love to enjoy that as well.
Absolutely.
And all the perks that come with jiu-jitsu, the traveling and the people and stuff like that. But the sport is something that I'm really obsessed with, and that I it takes a lot to master, and not that mastery is even possible, but to become competent, and so like I know how hard I think, or how hard I know I've worked, and how much I think about the sport, and how active I am in like improving the sport. And so when I see other people that say they're about it but don't show that they are, they talk the talk, they don't walk the walk, right? I can only shake my head. I can't change anyone's actions, or I can't control anyone else, but your words need to match up with your actions, and if 100%. They don't, like I can't help you.
Exactly.
So like it's something that I, do implore people, like whatever field you're in or whatever you want to be good at, like, you obviously need to like, be realistic about where you're at, but you do need to like, put in the effort and the work and commitment to get to where you think you can go or want to go.
100%.
That's really important to me, that's
solid advice, man.
Thank you. Yeah. Just for anyone, I guess.
Absolutely. And like, as you say, like in any field, literally it's like cross training, or you know what I mean? Like it crosses over really well. That's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Yeah.
You mentioned sacrifice, and this is something that like I don't know how much people at least initially realize or appreciate, like how big of a component that is. Because like as you say, like in some cases, like, it's giving up a Friday night of dancing or whatever else you like to do, but then it's that like consistently, and it's also, like a certain lifestyle that if you're wanting to compete at the level that you compete at, for example, like I realized as you were telling me about like watching different feeds on Flow Grappling, let's say, for IBJJF or whatever event, you're watching it like, but you're not just watching it as an entertainment. You're also actively studying potential competition.
Sure. Right? I want to see what the trends are. I want to see what people are doing, what's working, what's not working these days.
You want to see if somebody's using your move. And so like, there's a lot that goes into that, which requires time and effort, right? Which, it's kind of like a combination of sacrifice and discipline, and it's. I think people that get to like compete as you do, like an elite level competition, I think it takes a person that's capable of marrying those two things, right? Like giving those two things of themselves right? I don't know if you agree, but like,
No, definitely I do. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
because it's not like not everybody's willing to do it.
Yeah,
right? And then
for sure.
that's where you're gonna get like the podium versus like
Yeah, I mean, like, results are going to show themselves, or, you know, rather your effort is going to show itself in the results, you know? And it's like, if you're consistently coming up short and you're wondering why, you need to look a little bit deeper. Like, what could you be doing, or what aren't you doing that could lead to those results that you want, you know? And it is, like I said, like you said about marrying the two, like, you have to have balance. That will help you, that will fuel you, you know, keep you fresh, keep you happy, you know, all the things that are going to help you accomplish your goals, you know. But you also do need to have the discipline and the motivation and the consistency that will lead to results, you know. And like I think, like, you know, something that I like to be an emblem for is like the product of consistency, you know. And although I haven't, you know, I don't win every ADCC every year, I don't, you know, I'm not like the best guy in the world or whatever yet, you know. Like that, but like I'd like to think that I'm a like I said, a model for consistency long term, right? Like, I mean, I've had very successful results, you know, up and down, of course, but like for the most part, I'm trending up, and I've been very consistent. Haven't had any large dips in, you know, my performances or, you know, accomplishments over the past, you know, however many years I've been doing this, right? Like like steady, you know, steady improvement over time, you know, leads to, you know, your goals, right? And I like to be an example of that, and not letting one loss, you know, determine your value in your mind.
100%.
Like, you need to be able to tell yourself that like a loss doesn't define you the same way a win does not define you. Like, it's about effort. It's about, you know, consistency, like I said. And it's about, you know, just constant improvement or constant attempt at improvement. And just like having that mindset, you know, consistently. And over time will pay dividends, you know. And it's like, it's a formula that I think works in every aspect of life, right? Like just like whatever you're trying to do, it will pay off, you know. You just need to be consistently putting forth effort, and like, you know, and be willing to adapt, be willing to change. Like,
that's good advice.
You know, I think like sometimes I see people that are too married to their like beliefs of 3 years ago or whatever, and it's like in our game, you know, and like the you know, changing. Right, like keeps changing. Like even the social media game, like what worked a few years ago is not going to work anymore. You're competing with too many people for too short of attention spans these days, you know.
100%.
And in jiu-jitsu, it's like if I'm trying to do the exact same shit that I was doing 3 years ago, like if I'm just, for me personally, it was like, if I'm just trying to 50-50 heel hook everyone, if I'm trying to, you know, like it's not going to work anymore. Like, you have to adapt. You have to be able to like build off those skills, but add new skills, and recognize what's working, what's not working at the highest levels, and what you can add in your game, you know. You just like try to hit the same moves over and over again. You know, the well will run dry 100%. Very quickly, you know. So like, you need to be constantly diversifying and, you know, and adapting and all those things that are going to lead to, you know, success. And like I said, it's true in the social media 100%. Aspect. It's true in jiu-jitsu. I'm sure it's true in many other fields that I have no knowledge of, you know, like, no, but I don't know, but absolutely. You know, it's why, like, you know, all these big companies, Apple, Google, whatever, they need to come up with new products. They need to, you know, update, you know, their their interface or whatever to like, you know, make it more user-friendly, or, you know, like to give it more value. Otherwise, like, if you're staying the exact same, you're getting worse. Like, the value of your company is going to drop, right? You need to be constantly, you know, adding 100%. Things that are going to make people value your company at a higher, you know, degree or valuation or whatever. And so like, just apply that same kind of thing to your own game. No matter where you are, there's always things you can add to make yourself better, make people, you know, value more, you know, whatever field you're in, I guess. So
no, that's, I mean, you know, mess around and you might actually put out your own financial advice.
Could you imagine? Dude, I become the guy that's like trying to like sell that shit to everyone.
But you're absolutely right about like the mindset, right? And the adaptability, open-mindedness, you know what I mean? And then the consistency, right? Is like, those are key, but they're like relatively easy concepts to wrap your head around, but then to live them and to like truly embody them is, you know, I mean, kudos to you, bro, because like, honestly, like, there's so many distractions nowadays, you know what I mean? Like,
for sure,
it would be easy to just be like, I'll take today off and then tomorrow off.
It snowballs quickly. You have to hold yourself to a minimum standard. And I tell that to pretty much everyone. Like, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a whole lot. It could be 10 minutes of stretching every day. Like it could be a morning routine that you don't, deviate from unless it's completely out of your control. Like those minimum standards that you hold yourself to, that pays dividends over time, because like you said, otherwise it's like, I skipped it today, I can skip tomorrow. 100%. That snowball effect is real, but the inverse is true. Like if you did it today, you're way more likely to do it tomorrow, you're way more likely to do it the next day, et cetera, et cetera. So don't give yourself those, unless it's completely out of your control or whatever, and there are instances in which that's the truth, and maybe more like helpful to give yourself a day off or whatever. Some you have slack, to be, you have to be cognizant of that too. Like, it's really important that you hold yourself to, like I said, at least a minimum standard.
I like that. Yeah. Nice. I wonder if we can take like one moment to go into like the mind of a competitor.
Sure.
I'm thinking like, sure. It just dawned on me that like I wanted to ask you this. So like you've done all your prep, you're ready, everything went well, nothing but the fight's on your mind, and the fight starts. What's going on in your head? Are you on autopilot at that point? Is it a combination? Is it like a competitive role at the club? Is it like, you know what I mean? Like, what goes through your mind? Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good question. And like, I mean, whatever happens in the camp, let's say it goes amazing or it goes terrible and everything goes wrong, I'm going to show up to the competition the exact same mindset. Like, I can't control what happened in the past. I can't control the present, and I can try to affect the future by controlling the present. And so up until the start of the match, like a slap and a bump, like nothing else really matters, right? You literally have to tune everything out. You have to be completely focused. And, sometimes like, you get reads on your opponent that work in your favor. Sometimes like they don't. Like, I'm noticing a lot of like level changes. Like, okay, he's going to shoot, but then he didn't. Then he got me to bite on a fake, and then he, snapped me down or something. Like things like that can happen, right? So it's, not really in your control to, or like, I guess like whatever else is going on doesn't really matter. It's like you need to be focused on the match, and you need to do the best you can with the information that you have at the time, right? Nice. And at any point in the match, I'm trying to see what I can do based on where we're at. Like if we're completely neutral, I'm going to see how I can gain connection and how I can start to, upgrade my connection, right? Like whether it's, moving behind them, through them, around them, right? Whatever it is, that's my goal. But let's say that I don't win that, and then I'm on bottom, then they're behind me, or then they're on top of me or over me, right? Like then I need to do the best I can with the information that I have at that moment. Like if there's a threat of the guillotine around my neck, then I'm not going to try to take the dude down. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to get out of the guillotine. So like, it's just problem solving, and it's just problem solving at a like very, very like the margins are very slim. You know what I mean? Like one wrong move can influence and can affect the course of the next whatever, whatever happens. Right. So, you just need to be really present. You need to like, I've had, so many matches that just like are not going my way and can very quickly like get to your mind, like, oh man, I might not win this. Right. But you need to quickly snap yourself out of that and be like, nope, it's not the case. That's not, that's what your brain wants you to think. It's trying to protect you. Right. Like, it's trying to keep you safe, and tell you like, it's okay to give up or whatever. You need to push past that. You need to like, stay present. You need to see how you can solve things. Right. And I've had several matches like that, even just the past few months, right? Or, over the years, right? Where, like early on I'm either winning or I'm losing. I just need to stay focused on what's happening at that moment and see how I can, ultimately just like, get to a winning position, right? Like even if I am winning the match, I need to get to another, like winning position. If I lose a good spot, I need to be focused on getting back to that spot and not discouraged that I lost it.
Right.
So there is a lot to think about, and I try to, compartmentalize as best I can. Like every thing that they do, is leading me just like one step closer to where I want to go. It's not the inverse, right? It's not them getting like, closer to attacking me. Even if they have a really deep bite on my leg, it's like, okay, how am I going to use this? Obviously how am I going to defend? How am I going to use this to get to where I need to go? Like, it's never just like, and obviously like some matches, you know, it works out, some it doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's always gonna be my intention is like,
Cool,
how do I either get out of this and then get to my spots, or how do I just, you know, like get to my spots from here, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all like just little, you know, micro battles in your mind, you know, that affect the larger task in hand.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I love that, because I think I experienced that at like a much lower level, but like at the regular role, let's say open mat or what have you, sometimes like the mind is loud. The mind is just like, I'm like almost wanting to like stop for a second and be like talking, I'd be looked at like I'm crazy, but I'd be like, shut the hell up. Like, I'm just trying to have a good time and roll. Like, why am I worried that I'm on bottom side here? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
100%. And it can be little shit too. It can be like, you can be stressed about like, something that isn't even like, you know, presently happening. You're I couldn't like,
or like it happened like 30 seconds ago or something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh man, like, I almost got Kimura'd, right? Yeah. It's like, you know, now I'm flat on my back in side control. It's like, well, instead of thinking like I almost got Kimura'd and being scared to do anything else, it's like, think about like, you know, okay, I'm just in bottom side control. I need to just, you know, work back to a position where I can attack.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're making those decisions and like those, that like you're managing that at like a very high pace, right? Like at a very high level. So,
with like, you know, tons of adrenaline and the stakes are really high.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's cool. There's like so much more to it that it's like not even really tangible, you know, but it comes with reps, it comes with experience, it comes with, you know, like I said, all that consistency and stuff, you know. And just, you know, comfortability too.
Yeah, absolutely. And like your confidence in your own skill set, I'm sure also helps, you know, like,
totally.
You know, you've put in the work, you know, you've given the time to the best of your ability. So like, you know,
for sure. Yeah. That I try to always keep that in mind, because even if I had a terrible camp or whatever, I need to remember like, you know, I've been working so fucking hard since I was a kid, you know? And like that accounts for way more than, you know, just one bad camp or whatever, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I usually have that confidence going into any match that like, I know I've worked harder than this person, you know, whether it's this camp or that's over the course of my life, I've worked harder, you know? And the guy, if the skill level is relatively equal, the guy who worked harder is going to win.
Yeah.
And so I'm always telling myself, whether it's true or not, it might not even be true, I'm always telling myself I worked harder than this guy. I deserve this more than this guy, you know?
Nice.
And that's completely separate from any technical adjustment I can make in a match. It's literally just like, he's not beating me. I'm gonna win this because I deserve it more. You know?
No, that makes sense. And in fact, you're echoing, and this is part of what's so interesting for me. Like this is kind of like a window into like, you know, your experience. And it's interesting because it resonates with some of the like actually Robert Drysdale again comes to mind and his competitive experience. Bruno Fernandez, who's 6th degree black belt in Gracie Barra in Montreal. He competed a lot in Brazil, and that he spoke in a very similar way about like the time leading up versus the time that you're there, and about being present in that moment, right? Which is very Zen if you think about it, you know, like it's like very like there's like the moment is everything. And then, you know.
So like, you're kind of stoic too, right? Like, I think that's something the Stoics talk about, you know, not controlling what only way you can control, you know, and not worrying about what's outside of your control, things like that.
If anything, it's really healthy in now like today's society, we're just bombarded with like everything.
Everyone's trying to compete for your attention, for your energy, for your, you know, to make you either like, you know, some sort of emotional response, right? And if you just know that you won't give that to anyone, like you know, you're in control of that, and not like, you know, the other way around. You know, other people are controlling that for you. You know, that's huge. Yeah, that's very big.
It's funny because as I get older, I realize that like and this is also one of the reasons that like I'm really grateful that you wanted to spend some time and just like hang out and do this, because like awesome. I realize that like who you spend your time with is like it's a gift, right? Like it's really valuable, more so than like any dollar amount. Like 100%. Everybody's got to eat, everybody's got to, you know, be able to retire hopefully one day like comfortably, but like but who you choose to spend your time with, you know, and what you do with that time is like the greatest gift you can give somebody, basically, right? And so like you're in that moment, you're living like I don't even know like how many lifetimes at the same time as like in like milliseconds, right? Like, you're like living and dying with every like position that's happening, you know what I mean? So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Jiu-Jitsu imitates
life. Wild.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
I do want to be respectful. Speaking of time, I want to be respectful of your time. But I wondered if we have time for like some lightning questions.
Please.
All right, cool. Favorite sub?
Peruvian necktie.
Peruvian necktie, cool. Favorite rule set?
ADCC.
ADCC. Favorite cheat meal?
Burgers.
Nice.
I wouldn't classify that as a cheat meal though. If I had to really say cheat meal, probably. Oh fuck, burgers comes to mind because they're just so fucking good. But I wouldn't say it's like, you know, not that it's a health food, but also. Oh man, probably pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Sure. Favorite UFC event that you watched?
Oh, that I've watched? Well, I personally attended UFC on Fox 4, which was the best event I've ever seen, let alone, you know, been like attended. It was my first ever event I attended with my dad.
Yeah.
But it was the most amazing card I've ever seen. It was like Joe Lowe's on Jamie Varner, Brandon Vera, Chogun, who was the main event, Lyoto Machida, Ryan Bader. There's like Phil Davis was on the card, Manny Gambarian was on the card.
Nice.
You know, Mike Swick was on the card. Like there was like so many good fights. And it was every single fight was amazing.
Nice.
So that's probably UFC on Fox 4. It's like August of 2011, probably.
Fair enough. Yeah. Gi or no gi? All right. And then like favorite competitor past and present. Other than you, of course.
I would never even say that, myself. But jiu-jitsu or
Jiu-jitsu, yeah.
Oh, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
okay. So what was it? It was past and present, basically.
Present, if you know the future, you tell me, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, right? Your favorite prospect? No, but yeah, past Marcelo, I would say, and then present, probably. Fuck, who would be like it's so hard to say my
That's
favorite
tough,
guy, but who do I always try to tune in to watch? Oh, that's such a good question, man. I gotta say, I mean, well, I don't know if there's two people that come to mind. One, you maybe like wouldn't know him as well, but he's very accomplished. Hunter Colvin. Okay. Always tune in for every single one of his matches. I'll tune in for.
Nice.
And then Alan Sanchez. He's another one. I love watching Alan Sanchez. He's probably like I always learn something. You know, I really love his style. And speaking of Fabricio Andre is another one that's really exciting. Yeah.
Have you competed against him?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah. I think just twice actually. But
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
There's so many guys though.
For sure, 100%. Oh, if there's anything that you would give as advice to yourself, like if you could see like day one, Keith, and just give him like a tip that'll help, you know, make things a little bit easier.
Oh, there's so much I would tell him. There's so much I would tell him.
Back to the Future type series.
Yeah, right. I mean, I would hopefully like indicate to him the importance of rest days. Mm-hmm. I never took rest days. I didn't even understand why you would take rest days. I didn't understand the concept of rest or sleep or good nutrition or anything that would lead to recovery, you know, which is so vital for everyone, let alone a young competitor, you know. Yeah. Maybe it's not as important back then, I guess, but it still would help me a lot. Yeah. That was definitely one of them for sure.
Nice. Right on. Keith, I got to thank you, man. Like, thank
you
so much. And not only for taking the time, welcoming me into your home, like, and just shooting the breeze with me like this, but for me, it's a real privilege, you know, like, it's not like, you know, if this was a basketball podcast, like I can't just call out Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen or anything, but like, you know, grappling is kind of different.
I'm often equated to the Michael Jordan of jiu-jitsu.
There you go. There you go. You heard it here first.
Analogy.
But I mean, like, you know, like, you didn't have to be like, yeah, for sure, dude, come on down, you know, like, it'll be cool, we'll chat, whatever. And that was exactly what you did. So, like, you know, for me, it's a real privilege. So I appreciate it, man.
Oh, dude, I appreciate you taking the effort and putting a lot of, like I said, effort into, you know, what you do. So
what you should do before we close out is how basically do we contact you for like seminars? Do you have a website? Do you have anything that you want to like promote on my giant platform?
Yeah. No, yeah. If anyone's interested, I got to get hot stepping on scheduling seminars and everything for the next year. You can just contact me on Instagram at Keith Krikorian. That's probably the best way to. I believe that's how you got in touch with me.
It is, yeah.
That's probably the best way to do it. And then
It was the real Keith that answered, wasn't a bot.
No, he's my assistant. No, sometimes it actually is. My girlfriend will be like,
That's
"Hey,
cool,
you got a message from so and so," because she has access to that stuff. So because I miss a lot of it. You know?
Of course, yeah, I bet.
And so she sometimes she'll answer. You know,
Nice.
or she'll at least tell me to answer. So
Nice.
yeah, but yeah, that's probably the best way to get in touch with me. Yeah, I do seminars, I do matches. I do kids' birthday parties. I do it. Yeah. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate you, man.
You, brother.
No, yeah.